You can almost paint with anything if you just practice enough. All you have to do is just practice. Oh, there's a happy little thing. It just lives there. Just let your imagination go crazy. Let that fan brush wiggle and play. All the little things happen. That easy. You have a little rock.
Oh, hey. Welcome back, my friends. It's me, Ron. Or as I'm known in some circles, Spaghetti Van Halen. Just fine-tuning my solos. Bob told me if I practiced enough, I could make a little rock. Why did I bust out my axe for this episode? Because we've got some great audio for you about music videos. Remember those? Once upon a time, Bob Ross was invited to make a promo for MTV, music television. And of course, he accepted the challenge. Why? Because Bob Ross is a rock star. So in this episode, we're going to talk to the guy who pitched that promo, who made it, and who had a real-life encounter with Bob Ross.
That's one thing that's so fantastic about painting for you on television. I've met thousands and thousands of beautiful, beautiful friends that I'd never had if I hadn't done this.
So while we queue up our story on Bob's rock and roll romance with MTV, let's introduce you to a rising star in the painting community. This cat's traveling far and wide to meet different certified Ross instructors and learn the tricks of Bob's trade. He's, shall we say, a CRI sommelier. He's also a Bob Ross superfan.
My name is Steve Hanks. I live in Largo, Florida, and I have been an insurance auto damage adjuster for 26 years.
And just adjust it back and forth until it's the way you want it. And let's go up in here, and we'll just come in, and we'll put a little color underneath. There.
32 years ago, I was dating a girl that wanted to get into oil painting. And I said, you know what? There's this white guy with an afro on TV. I see him on the PBS station. I said, I bet you we could watch his because he says you could paint, and he does it in like a half an hour.
All these little details. Spend some time. They yell and scream at me here if I go over 30 minutes. But at home, you can do anything.
I said, I got a VCR. I can record them. We can watch them, whenever.
If you're painting along with me, if you have a video, record the shows and play them back at your own speed so you can stop them and start them. And
I would record them faithfully every Saturday morning. And then her birthday came up, and I went and got her an easel and went and bought some art supplies. And we watched a Bob Ross episode downstairs. We went to her upstairs, this little landing area where she painted, where the light was good. She would paint some. We'd run back downstairs. We would watch a little bit more of the video. Then we'd go back upstairs. She'd paint some more. So I got to watch her, and I was fascinated. She was very crafty. I never thought I had an artistic bone in my body. So I just never thought about painting. But I always was fascinated watching Bob Ross paint.
you need that dark in order for your light to show. Look at that. Look at them shine in the sun. There they go. Isn't that super?
You didn't paint anything. You're sitting there watching him, but you feel like you accomplished something. Things that I, at the time, didn't think I could ever do. And on top of that, I'm watching a guy do it in a 30-minute time frame, and I feel good about myself after he's done.
Those colors make you feel good already. They're just nice and bright and warm and cheery. Makes you feel good. We'll wash the brush. Wash it off. Shake off the excess. And just beat the devil out of it.
He stayed with me. I lost a girlfriend a long time ago, but the interest in Bob Ross I kept. Watching him, I'm like, you know what? It's been 32 years. Maybe he's right. Maybe I can paint. So I said, I'm going to go look and see if I can find somebody who teaches.
I love this idea.
So I looked on the Bob Ross website. Hey, they got instructors right here where I live. I booked 2 classes right there on the spot. And after I had that second class, I was ordering all my stuff that I needed to paint at home because I was ready to go. It gave me the confidence to say, in a class, in a controlled environment, I can do this. And then I made a goal to take a class from every certified Bob Ross instructor in the state of Florida. So I've done 9 so far. I went to these different ones because I wanted more classes than just the once-a-month class. And I realized that each teacher, they're teaching the same thing, but they all bring their own style of it to it. And so what that did for me is I got to pick up little tidbits and tricks from their experiences and their students and things they would have to adapt to that they started integrating into their class. They're all Bob Ross classes. So it's been fascinating to go to these different instructors and see their personalities, how they do it, how they approach the program. You know, they're just as different as how many different people there are in the world.
Each week we'll try to do paintings that are designed to teach you something different, something new, something exciting, just to keep your interest going.
Dan Wilcox, my first one was a forest with a path through it that was really unique. Tricia, she goes by Patricia Lynn Bush. We have done florals, we have done animals, we have done mountains, we have done seascapes, forest views. She is quite a talented artist, and she's certified in all three of those disciplines. Instructors need good students, right? I like to be an encouragement to them too. Chrissy, I've done mountain scene. I've done a cabin with her. I did a seascape with her. I still haven't done an oval yet, so I've got to figure out how to do an oval painting the Bob Ross way.
Give these ovals and different shapes a try. Use the contact paper. You won't believe the things you can make. And
it's so much fun. I mean, sometimes if I go repeat to a class, I've got the instructor saying, this guy's brand new. Do you mind sitting next to him? Just in case, I'm tied up with somebody else. I'm like, sure, I've obsessed over mountains because they're my absolute favorite. Mountain scenes dominate the Bob Ross paintings because of his background being from Alaska. But they are so much fun to do once you get friendly with the knife. And getting friendly with the knife took me a while. But I am absolutely obsessed with painting mountains.
Mountains are one of the best things going to give you practice with a knife. And if you make friends with this knife, there's just no limit to what you can paint with it.
I have shelves on the wall, and that way I can put different size paintings next door to each other on two different levels. It's kind of neat because I can see a mountain that I did my first one. I can see my second one. I can see my 12th one. I can see my 16th one. And I actually had my instructor mention, she said, "You're done with your mountain already?" Yep. I didn't think I had artistic bone in my body. This is not something I would ever obsess over and find so much joy in. Nothing's off the table. And I'm learning now to just keep my mind open and my heart open to what comes available to me.
You learn from every painting. Every painting is a learning experience. Everything in life is a learning experience. It's not failure. If it doesn't work the way you want it, it's not failure. It just means you learned something. And as long as you're learning, you're not failing.
Although I came out of the gate running, it's a marathon, not a sprint, because I will learn about painting my entire life until I'm no longer in this world. All I want to do is paint.
That's really where the fun of painting comes in, the joy of painting. It's in learning new things and experimenting, doing things that you've never done before. That's what's fun. Maybe there's some little areas right in here somewhere. I don't know. Okay. Let's go back and play with some more trees. They're a lot of fun.
1983 began joyfully when the first episode of Bob Ross's iconic painting show aired on public television.
Hi, I'm Bob Ross, and for the next 13 weeks, I'll be your host as we experience the joy of painting. I think each of us, sometime during our life, has wanted to paint a picture.
A year and a half prior, a new channel had launched, somewhat quietly, on cable TV to bring us a different kind of art.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
Over the next decade plus, Bob Ross's public TV painting show and MTV's programming would skyrocket into the pop culture zeitgeist. So perhaps it was inevitable that these two titans of television would join forces.
My name is Todd Mueller. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Currently live in Venice Beach, California, and I direct TV commercials.
Todd Mueller is an artist who's worked in all sorts of mediums. Painting? Sure. But as a student attending college in New York, Todd took up sculpting too.
I had a show in Soho of my sculpture, these big environmental installation pieces. And someone at MTV was there and saw it like, hey, this would be good for a VJ background. Remember VJs?
I'm Martha Quinn, and welcome to Thursday night's MTV Prime. We start off with a rock block.
MTV bought a sculpture from me to install on their VJ set. And then they asked me to pitch on doing the packaging for Headbangers Ball. You know, as the show opened, the show closed, the bumper to commercial. And so I came up with this elaborate idea. I had no film training. I asked my friends how to do it. And I showed them my idea. And I did these really elaborate storyboards. And I go in and pitch it. And they were all like, this is amazing. Like, we can't afford this, but this is amazing.
Todd's big ideas would land him a full-time job at MTV before he'd even graduate from college, working in on-air promotions.
You know how MTV always used to have the crazy contests? That's the department where we made the MTV logos.
Todd's creative gifts were inherent. His maternal grandfather was a painter. And once Grandpa turned the TV on and turned young Todd on to Bob Ross, picking up a brush was a no-brainer.
Back in the glory days of, I think it was 5 channels in the Detroit area, it was the best option by far. Like, you know, it's like news, some old movie, or Bob. And it's like, of course we're going to watch Bob.
Hello, I'm Bob Ross, and I'd like to welcome you to the 12th Joy of Painting series. First of all, let me thank you for inviting me back into your homes for another series of painting shows. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your oil paints and brushes and paint along with us each week.
It wasn't intimidating, and it just felt like, yeah, I could do this.
You can do it. First step in being able to do anything is believe that you can do it, because you can do it. You can do it. You know that.
I would try at a young age, and I didn't have the fan brush technique. I didn't have that technique, but just trying, was fun.
Don't get upset if something doesn't go right. You learn from mistakes. Son of a gun, and I have made more mistakes than everybody put together. You learn from your mistakes.
My grandfather was a beautiful painter, and he could actually do that style really well. So I would have Bob and my grandfather, helping me out.
By the time teenage Todd got to New York City, his day-to-day life at MTV, at the time the epicenter of entertainment, had him creating in different ways.
We would work together with the writer to come up, and it was maybe for a real world marathon or a Beavis and Butthead-a-thon or whatever, or a spring break party-a-thon.
Plug into MTV's Spring Break 94, all this weekend.
Great tan. Hardly any sand in my shorts.
MTV's Spring Break 94. Anything else is pathetic.
So that was Monday or Tuesday. Then Wednesday, we would basically present the idea to our creative director, and they would say, yeah, that sounds good. And then we would have to spend Thursday and Friday making it. MTV was always really good about appropriating or, sort of chameleoning into different cultures. It could be punk rock, it could be heavy metal, it could be, cinephile, it could be bookish, MTV was, a little bit of everything in clever camouflage and also in an ironic sense. So from a cultural point of view, we were like, oh, it would be really fun to do a Bob Ross spot because it's so not MTV. It's so not quick cut, especially at that point in time, MTV was known to be quick cuts, it's all about quick cut editing, which it was. There was a lot of music videos with, cutting on every other frame, and it drove the older generation insane, right? It was like this, it was a taboo for the older generation to have too many cuts in a second, and that's something that the youth culture really loved. Bob Ross and his vibe felt like a really great foil to the energy of MTV, what it was at that time.
And there's a little touch of highlight sparkling across there. This is just a tiniest little bit of white, but tiniest little bit. Tiny little bit, a little bit of dark underneath. Just sort of set it down into the water. Maybe the water just bounces and plays right there. It's a little slow stream. It just has fun.
I pitched it. I did a really rough mock-up. Photoshop had just come out. And so I put a Bob Ross painting with an MTV logo on it and pitched it to my bosses.
This is the big boss tree here. He looks around and watches everything. King of the mountain.
And they were like, oh my God, this is so good. You have to do it.
The folks at MTV reached out to Bob Ross Incorporated, and Bob quickly agreed. They would film his happy little promo on a soundstage in Orlando, Florida.
And they've seen us on TV and they've tried this and it works and they're so excited.
He showed up on his own. He didn't have any, when you travel and you're doing a job, like I had a producer and locally we had a couple PAs. So we had a little mini entourage and Bob drove himself there. You were like, is there anyone with you? Do you need any help? He's like, no, it's just me. It's just me.
All alone.
He was just the sweetest man. Helpful and thoughtful and completely into it.
So don't worry about trying to copy exactly what I'm doing here. Do what you want to do.
I explain, you're serving as the contrast. So, you're going to make MTV look more riotous by being the calm in the storm.
Very quiet, soft, subdued, peaceful. This is a very peaceful little painting.
But MTV didn't just want the man for his charm and his bulbous hairdo. They wanted Bob doing what he does best, painting on camera. And they didn't just want a mountain or a stream. The goal was a Bob Ross MTV logo mashup.
So he warned us, I'm not a good graphic painter. Like he's a nature painter. And he's like, this is going to be hard for me to try to paint the logo. But I'm into it. He's like, I feel more confident with the TV part because that's looser. I remember that. Yeah, he's like, I could do the TV part. It's that more architectural geometric M that I'm going to be a little tricky. And he's like, maybe I'll use some tape. And I'm like, when you paint it, it doesn't matter if it's a little loose because that's your style. So make an MTV logo, but make it yours.
And in your world, you decide how many little tree limbs or how few, how many, whatever. And you just drop them in. There's freedom on this canvas.
Painting for the camera was Bob's comfort zone. And so 7 hours of filming went by in a flash.
And he had fun. Yeah, we had a blast doing it. He did a winter landscape on camera, and then he did a spring landscape on camera, and then he did a couple MTV logos. He painted some MTV logos. My approach to directing him was more conversational. As he was painting, I was just off screen, trying to keep him feeling comfortable because it wasn't his studio. I think we talked about everything. We talked about, his art materials, his favorite brushes, and if he's ever done acrylics.
Todd, the director, was putting Bob at ease. Meanwhile, Todd, the kid from Detroit, was witnessing something that up until now, he had only seen on a small screen at his grandfather's house.
But when it's in person and I was watching him, standing 3 feet away from him, I'm like, that's amazing. I see it. Oh, wow, he put way more paint on than I thought he did. Like the way he flicks the palette knife. Oh, I see how that works now.
And we go right up here, and you can use your knife. I'm just going to use the palette, but you could use a knife to flick. And I'm going to flick that. Paint thinner and the liquid clear have violent reactions. So it creates gorgeous little effects.
I was fanboying big time, but I was also learning because it was like, oh, there's the master doing it right in front of me.
Bob being himself on camera, teaching us, inspiring us? Piece of cake. But what about acting?
We had him read a bunch of different lines. Happy little trees, fluffy little clouds.
Don't ask me to sing it, because you turn your TV off. There we go.
And he threw he ad-libbed. He was like, oh, I say this too. And
gnarly old tree. His old arms are wiggly. He's really had a hard life.
You got to make it wiggly.
This would be a nice tree for the seagull to come land in. Sit up here and see what's happening. He could check it out.
We stopped filming for a while and told some jokes and, laughed a bit. I could have made probably 20 spots out of the stuff I shot.
I thought maybe today we'd make a scene that's very happy, beautiful little scene with a lot of color in it, very easy that you can do.
There we go.
Okay, let's just put a happy little mountain, something about like that. And let's paint several little happy trees and push. Look at there. There. MTV, the land of happy little trees.
The promo did really well. Everyone loved it. We got lots of snail mail. This was back in the snail mail pre-email days. I remember we had one follow-up conversation with Bob. It's like, yeah, we're getting lots of fan mail. People love it. Thank you so much.
The Bob Ross MTV promo is 30 seconds long, but it's so much more than its length. It was a clever merger of old world viewing habits with the slicker, quicker pace of cable television. Some might have rejected the idea entirely, but our Zen public TV painter was hip to what the kids are into. Bob knew that joining forces with the loud and proud music video mavens also meant finding a new audience.
When cable TV came out and you had more choices, I think that sort of took some of the wind out of his sails. But I remember having a conversation with his people. It's like, we've noticed a huge uptick in our viewership. They were really psyched about that.
Todd Mueller's Bob Ross encounter isn't just a cherished memory or a cool story. It's a testimony to the art of collaboration and the creative spirit. Todd feels fortunate to have a few keepsakes from the occasion.
I have 2 paintings. My friend has one of the paintings. So when I was working at MTV, I worked there until like 1999. I had them up on my wall. Immediately, I went out and got the biggest, most Baroque frame. I was overexcited about it. I should have put a little gap between the painting and the frame. I could have done a better job framing, but I was overexcited.
Sometimes you get excited when you do this and just want to cover everything up because it works so well. And it's so beautiful.
Now they're on display, happily on display in my house. And at 57, I've had many chapters, as we all have many chapters in our life, but there's very few chapters that you walk away with such good relics from.
This is a painting. If you hang it in a room, it will certainly brighten your room, and everybody will love it.
They were painted with love and kindness and his spirit. It served me well. It served Bob well. It was such a fun circle of happiness, like it was a perfect project where everyone walked out, everyone walked away a winner. Phenomenal moment in my life.
These days, MTV no longer plays videos, but the MTV generation, they certainly love watching Bob Ross videos, thanks in large part to Todd and his happy little promo. And since then, Todd's reached even greater heights, started his own company. He's never stopped making art. Decades have passed, but Bob Ross remains an inspiration.
He's a really unique man who was also incredibly, incredibly authentic to himself. And he had a unique energy. You felt it. You felt, his energy was totally different. I still remember his vibe.
Add a little bright red to that. Oh, I like that color. Like that. Color makes me excited. So beautiful. There. Probably painted 25, 30,000 paintings in my life. And I still get excited when I see this work. So easy and so much fun. And it brings so much happiness to so many people. That truly, truly is the joy of painting.
And whatever accolades Todd Mueller's attained for his colorful creations, they pale in comparison to his one-time brush with greatness.
I've won an Emmy. I have a Video Music Award. They're in the garage somewhere. They're in the garage somewhere. I don't actually know where they are, but I know where my Bob Ross paintings are.
The old clock on my cable box tells me we've got another finished podcast episode. I want to thank my guests, Steve Hanks and Todd Mueller. This happy little episode was produced with help from James Shapiro at Jansen Media, and it was mixed by Tom Carcutt at Digital Sound and Video of Daytona Beach, Florida. Support your local public television station and say thanks for giving us Bob Ross and the joy of painting. Let's see your paintings. Use hashtag #PaintLikeBobRoss. Bob Ross certified instructors are the only ones that know how to teach you Bob's world-famous painting method. So don't settle for second best. Find the local CRI at bobross.com and then click Take a Class. If you got your own Bob Ross story to tell, you can leave us a message at 866-FANBRUSH or email us at podcast@bobross.com. And follow us on Facebook at The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. I'm Ron Scalzo. The Joy of Bob Ross is written and produced by me, Ron Scalzo, in partnership with Bob Ross, Inc. Bob Ross name and images, they're registered trademarks of Bob Ross, Inc.